On Christmas Day, she discovered her millionaire family shivering, exposing an incredible truth. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped into the familiar lanes of Maplewood, the snow crunching beneath her boots like the echoes of her past. Every holiday season, images of her childhood swirled in her mind. Memories of laughter, warmth, and the scent of pine filled the air. But today, she wasn't just a waitress working 2 jobs, she was on a mission to reconnect with the family she'd lost touch with. Determined, she climbed the icy steps to her childhood home, the excitement buzzing in her chest like 1,000 fireflies. Little did she know, a storm was brewing beneath their glittering facade. The front door swung open, revealing her aunts and uncles, their smiles bright yet transient, like snowflakes that melt upon landing. As they enveloped her in warm embraces, a fleeting chill coursed through her. Their radiant decorations and twinkling lights hid something darker, a tension that hummed under the surface. "Welcome back, Sarah," her Aunt Julie exclaimed, her voice cheerful but shaky. The living room looked like something out of a holiday postcard, the tree adorned with shimmering ornaments and the smell of freshly baked cookies wafting through the air, yet the mood felt charged, as if they were all playing a part in a never-ending charade. As the night unfolded, animated conversations turned into strained exchanges, punctuated by uncomfortable silences. The warm glow of the fireplace contrasted sharply with the cold truth swirling in the air. Whispers could be heard about losses and layoffs, financial troubles cloaked in silence. Although they wore the mask of affluence, the pride in their eyes was dimmed by an unspoken crisis. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As laughter turned to whispers on the edges of tears, Sarah felt a familiar heaviness in her chest. Should she reveal her struggles as a waitress, living paycheck to paycheck? Or would that shatter the carefully constructed illusion they built? Her heart ached for the truth, but she was terrified of the cracks it might expose. During dinner, as plates clanked and polite smiles faded, the conversation grew quieter. A moment hung in the air, palpable and electric. Sarah steeled herself and spoke up, her voice trembling. "It's okay to admit we're not perfect. We can't keep pretending everything is alright." In that simmering moment of confrontation, their eyes widened in shock. The room felt heavy, charged with an energy that threatened to combust. What would she do next? Would the fragile bonds they shared finally snap under the weight of hidden truths, or could they begin anew, sharing the burdens that lay unspoken? Just then, Sarah's phone buzzed with a message. A call could change everything. Would this be the unlocking of their hidden struggles, or would it drive them apart once more? As her thumb hovered over the screen, her heart raced with anticipation. What lay ahead? The future of this family now rested on her words, and she had to decide if she'd tear down the scales of pretense or let them remain. Sarah stared at her phone, the light illuminating her face in the dimly lit room as the buzz of the gathering faded into a distant hum. Her heart raced, caught between fear and anticipation. Could it be good news? Or would it only deepen the dark depths of their already fragile reality? With a quick breath, she glanced at her family. Her aunts and uncles wore expressions of confusion mixed with concern. It felt like they were all holding their breath, waiting for her to unfold a new chapter or to shatter the illusion completely. The message on her screen was from Ava, her childhood friend who had recently made waves in a tech startup. "Hey, Sarah. It's been a while. Your family is in town, right? Just wanted to check in, maybe we can meet up." The warmth of her friend's words contrasted sharply with the chill that had settled over the family dinner. A glimmer of comfort threaded through Sarah but was quickly replaced by another wave of uncertainty. What did she need to say? Everything okay? Her uncle Mark asked, breaking the silence that had belabored the room. His eyes, usually twinkling with mischief, now searched hers with uncharacteristic seriousness. She felt a heaviness cocooning her, the weight of tradition lingering under thick layers of Christmas cheer. Yeah, just, an old friend checking in, she stuttered. The truth felt heavy on her tongue. Should she say more, draw them into her world? But how could she, when they seemed so entrenched in their own struggles? We were just talking about her, Aunt Julie started, eager to shift the focus away from Sarah. How the holidays can be both joyous and stressful. Managing expectations, family matters, yes. Sarah interrupted, surprising herself with the force in her voice. And sometimes it takes being honest to really connect. We need to ask for help. I mean, I need your help, too. The room fell quiet, and while her heart thudded loudly in her ears, she felt a spark of courage igniting within her. It felt liberating to say it aloud, that she wasn't simply returning for cookies and nostalgia, she needed them, because she carried more than just memories. Then, a soft voice broke through the tension. You're right, her Uncle Tom said, glancing at the table laden with empty plates. We can't keep pretending, Sarah. We've been struggling more than we let on. The business, it's not what it used to be, and it's made us distant. A wave of relief washed over her. They were finally breaking through the walls they debuilt, step by step. Then let us talk about it, she urged, feeling the urgency of the moment. Let us be real together. Just as her family began to open up, sharing snippets of their fears and heartaches, Sarah's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was from her mother, a voice that had been missing throughout the night, the one that always seemed to offer clarity. Can we talk? I'm outside. Sarah's stomach dropped. This was a defining moment. She felt a whirlwind of emotions, hope, fear, and a strange sense of determination. She glanced around the room. The flickering lights seemed brighter as everyone absorbed the shift that had just occurred. Hold on, she said, rising from her chair. I need to see what this is about. Don't go anywhere, she added with a trembling smile, knowing that the conversation they had started was only the beginning. With her heart in her throat, she opened the door to face her mother, a woman she had both longed to see and feared to confront. What awaited her outside could shift the dynamic of their fragile family bond entirely. Would they find clarity together, or was there more darkness yet to unveil? The world outside awaited her next move, and she could only hope to emerge stronger, stepping into the uncertain yet necessary changes of the season. The cold air slapped Sarah's face as she stepped outside, the sudden chill jolting her senses. The contrast to the warm, chaotic energy inside the house was stark, and the silence of the night felt like a vacuum. She could see her mother standing a few feet away, the porch light casting a gentle glow around her. It softened the edges of the tension written across her face. Sarah, her mother said, her voice trembling slightly. It was a sound Sarah hadn't heard in a long time, vulnerable, stripped of confidence. Can we talk? There was a plea in her mother's eyes that pulled at Sarah's heart. Despite all the emotions swirling inside her, she stepped closer. What is going on? You've been quiet all night. Her mother took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. I wanted to give you space during dinner, but I can't keep avoiding this. Not anymore. Her hands wrung together in front of her, a telltale sign of her agitation. Is it about the business? Sarah's voice shook with uncertainty, remembering her uncle's words that echoed within her. The weight of their struggles pressed upon her, filling the air between them. What are you not telling me? The corners of her mother's mouth turned down as she shook her head. It's bigger than that, sweetheart. The truth is more complicated than just finances. Sarah felt a surge of frustration. Complicated? Mom, we've been tiptoeing around this all night. I need to know what is really happening, not just this vague talk. Tears glistened in her mother's eyes. What I'm about to say, it changes everything. A knot tightened in Sarah's stomach. Just tell me. Her mother took a step forward, a sob breaking free before she could contain it. I haven't been honest about your father's situation. About the family, what do you mean? The words caught in Sarah's throat, a tide of fear washing over her. Your father, he lost the company but gained something more. Something he didn't want me to tell you. Gained? What do you mean? Panic clawed at Sarah's insides like an animal desperate to escape. The family you think you know. Her mother paused, and Sarah held her breath. We're not just a struggling farmhouse operation. Your father received an inheritance money from his father's estate. He didn't tell any of us because he didn't want to burden the family further. An inheritance. The word felt foreign, heavy. How much are we talking about? Her mother hesitated, the weight of secrecy tangible between them. Millions. The air felt charged, electric, pressing against Sarah's chest. Millions. She repeated, disbelief fighting against her desire to understand. Why hasn't he told us? Why pretend to be in such despair? Because, her mother's voice cracked, he thought it would change us, make us less honest. He wanted to know that we could survive on our own without relying on old money. A mix of confusion, anger, and relief erupted within Sarah. It felt both freeing and suffocating to learn that the reality she believed in was a lie of omission. So all this time? I know it's a lot to process. But please, you have to believe me. Your father's heart was in the right place. But it wasn't just her father's decisions that gnawed at her. It was the entire web of trust within her family, pulling taut with uncertainty. I thought getting together at Christmas was supposed to heal us, not unveil secrets like this. The darkness of the night seemed to deepen as her mother stepped closer, seeking a connection. We have to be transparent now. To break these chains of secrecy. Just then, the door swung open behind them, and Sarah's Uncle Mark appeared, his expression a mix of concern and confusion. Sarah. Is everything all right? No. Sarah nearly yelled, the frustration bubbling over. It's not all right. Nothing is all right. As this revelation hung in the air, Sarah felt a shift within her, a tangled mix of anger and a glimmer of newfound agency. She could finally confront the family web that had ensnared them all. But would her family be ready to face the storm that was brewing? With her heart racing, she turned to her mother. We need to go back. Inside. This isn't just the truth, it's the beginning of something new. Or the end of everything we know. Sarah felt the weight of many eyes on her back as she walked towards the door, unsure of how this revelation would shift everything they thought they knew. Could they really untangle the mess of their past, or were they mere players in a game that had no clear rules? As she pushed open the door, lingering warmth wrapped around her, but the questions and tensions followed her back inside. Would the truth forge their bonds anew, or would it carve deeper divides? The laughter and chatter from the relatives inside seemed to drain away as Sarah stepped back into the house. Each face she met felt different now, painted with the colors of uncertainty. With her heart pounding, she led her mother through the threshold, the warmth wrapping around them instantly, yet it did little to soothe the chill that lingered in her bones. Sarah, her Uncle Mark said, his brows furrowing deeper as he noticed her flushed cheeks and heavy breathing. What is going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. It's complicated, she managed, the words tumbling out against the noise as she glanced around. The clinking of glasses, the low hum of holiday music, each sound heightened in her ears. It's about Dad. Gasps rippled through the family, suddenly aware their usual Christmas cheer had been upturned. Sarah caught sight of her father, standing near the window with an apprehensive look, as if he already sensed the storm gathering around him. He hadn't yet overheard the secret, but the tension hung in the air like a thick fog. "Let us sit," her mother suggested softly, leading the group to the long dining table, a feast spread out but abandoned. Plates of turkey and pie, sparkling lights reflecting off silverware, a tableau of warmth which felt completely out of place now. As they took their seats, Sarah's Uncle Mark leaned in. "What is this really about? You can talk to us. We are family." "Family," Sarah echoed bitterly. What did that even mean now? What if everything we thought wasn't true? She looked from her mother to her father, pointing a shaky finger at them both. "Why have you kept us in the dark?" "Sarah, please," her father spoke up, hands raised as though to placate her, though his voice trembled like a candle in the wind. "Let me explain." "No," she interjected, the sudden volume startling everyone. "Let this be a conversation. No more secrets. The hidden truth is worse than anything you might say out loud." Her father shifted in his seat, looking at her with a flash of something in his eyes: regret, fear, maybe even pride. "Okay," he finally said, his voice low and steady. "I wanted to protect you all from the burden. But I understand now that it's too heavy to carry alone." The room held its breath, each person glued to the unfolding drama, curiosity mingling with dread. He cleared his throat, his hands gripping the edge of the table. "When my father passed away, I was left with a choice: take the inheritance and risk everything I had built with your mother, or try to start fresh. I didn't want you to rely on what was given but to earn what you have. And instead," Sarah said softly, "you turned this into a lie." "I thought I was doing what was best," he replied, eyes darting to the side, as if searching for a lifeline among his family. "I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want the money to define us." Sarah's vision blurred with tears, her chest felt tight. "You know what this teaches me? That we can survive without wealth, but we cannot survive secrets. They eat away at us, Dad." Her Uncle Mark chimed in, voice steady yet sincere. "It seems it's already done quite a number on us, hasn't it? We should be on the same team here." As the family murmured their agreement, Sarah could feel the heaviness lifting, shifting slightly. Possible paths unfurling before them, each tinted with the chance for healing transformation. Yet she realized they were standing on the edge of an unknown chasm. "This isn't just about the inheritance," her mother said. "It's about how we see each other, how we trust each other." "Do we trust each other?" Sarah asked, her voice small but firm. "Can this family handle the truth?" As she looked around, her heart thudded with fear and hope all at once. They had been given a chance to rebuild or unravel. The question loomed over them like the festive garland hanging from the ceiling, beautiful yet fragile. "Then let us talk," her father said, leaning forward. "Let us unravel everything before it unravels us." A renewed tension enveloped the room as they all prepared to confront the storm brewing within, unaware of how far it would take them. What truths would they discover, and would those truths deepen their bonds or shatter them forever? As the words hung in the air, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Sarah's heart raced, an unsettling mixture of anticipation and dread coursing through her veins. She could see her father's hands tremble slightly as he turned to face them all. "All right. Where to begin?" he said, his voice steady but edged with vulnerability. The dim light cast shadows on his face, deepening the lines etched from worry and regret. "Start with the truth," Sarah urged, her breath hitching in her throat. She had no idea how far they would delve into this family history, or what secrets would emerge. But she knew they owed it to themselves to find out. I was 23 when my father died, he began, eyes distant. He didn't just leave a small inheritance, it was a fortune built from years of hard work and cunning. A collective gasp echoed through the room, an instinctive reaction to the gravity of his admission. But my father was a hard man, and the money came with many strings attached. Strings I didn't want to pull. Why didn't you just tell us? Sarah pressed, her voice thick with emotion. We deserve to know. He sighed, a deep, resigned sound. I thought that if I ignored it, if I left it behind, you would be free of it. I wanted to protect you from the expectations, the greed. I didn't want you to think the wealth defined our family. But it did, Sarah shot back, heat rising in her chest. At least for you. You've carried this burden. And look where it got us sitting here, unraveling. Her father's gaze dropped to the table. I thought I could start anew, create a different kind of life for us. I thought it made me a better father. We can't live like this, her mother interjected, voice catching slightly. Keeping secrets only builds walls. What happened when you found out? It was messy. The family dynamics grew toxic. I lost touch with relatives who felt entitled to that money. He shook his head, frustration evident. But more than that, I lost myself. I lost sight of what really mattered. It wasn't just about dollars, it became about connections. I thought I was protecting you all, but... His voice broke off, shame washing over him. And what about your relationship with Grandpa? Sarah asked, feeling the anger simmer in her, but it was tempered with concern. Did you ever forgive him for the way he was? Not entirely, he replied quietly, looking at her like he was revealing a piece of himself he had never intended to share. It affected how I parented you. Blame, resentment, it all impacted how I approached fatherhood. Silence enveloped them once more, a thick blanket of contemplation while they absorbed the revelation. Sarah glanced at the gathered family. Faces that had once seemed a collection of warmth and laughter now appeared vulnerable and worn. A profound sadness settled in the room as the weight of the shared truth laid heavy on their shoulders. We need to find a way to break this cycle, Uncle Mark suggested tentatively. Healing starts with honesty. Maybe there's a way forward. As everyone sat, grappling with the truth that felt like shards of glass, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the brink of something monumental. What does that look like, Mark? She asked, her heart now heavy with hope. Can we really navigate through it? A deep sigh went around the table, fingers tapping nervously against the wood. She sensed the reluctance but also a flicker of potential. The unspoken question lingered in the air: how much pain would they need to confront to untangle the web woven around their family? Tonight, her mother finally spoke. Let us share our experiences, our feelings. No more hiding. We owe it to each other. Just as the family braced to dive deeper, a sudden crash echoed from the kitchen. Plates clattered and the joyful aroma of Christmas baked goods turned ominous. Startled, everyone turned their heads. What was that? Sarah's heart sank. What else has been hidden? The question hung in the air, sharper than any knife they would face, staining the rest of the night with uncertainty. Would they confront only long-held family secrets, or was there something more pressing lurking beneath the surface? The tension was palpable as Sarah slowly got up from the table, her heart pounding in her chest, each step toward the kitchen feeling heavier than the last. With each passing second, she could sense the shift in the room. Everyone remained seated, the collective breath held, faces turned toward her, watching with a mix of concern and curiosity. She pushed through the swinging door, and the chaos that greeted her was startling. Flour dust hung in the air, a thin layer coating everything in a fine white mist. The scattered remnants of her mother's baking efforts lay strewn across the floor: broken plates, a toppled mixing bowl, and half-baked cookies now resembling a sad, chaotic abstract art installation. "Mom," Sarah called out hesitantly, searching for her amidst the wreckage. "Are you okay?" From behind the kitchen island, her mother emerged, brushing flour from her cheek, a sheepish smile trying to mask the embarrassment. "Just a little accident," she chuckled lightly, though the humor didn't reach her eyes. "I was trying to multitask, and I guess baking and heavy revelations don't mix well." As Sarah joined her side, she noticed how her mother's hands shook slightly as they worked to collect the mess. "You don't have to do this alone, you know. We are all here." Seeing her mother so vulnerable stirred something deep within her. It was a powerful reminder of how exposed everyone felt, each burden laid bare at the table moments before. They had exposed the cracks in their family, and even in the chaos of flour and shattered plates, there was a fragile beauty in their willingness to confront those fractures. "I know," her mother replied, sighing as she stacked the shards of plate into a pile. "But I always thought of myself as the one who held everything together. I thought cooking was my escape, my way of providing, but I'm realizing now that it can't just be about keeping up appearances." Sarah chewed her lip, looking around at the disarray. "It's okay to not be perfect, Mom. We are all a work in progress. Just like these cookies." She laughed lightly, picking up a cookie that had merged into a lumpy blob. "They might not look like the ones that made it onto the cover of a magazine, but they're still made with love." Her mother chuckled, the laughter easing the tension that had built. "Maybe we can call them rustic cookies." "Perfect. Let us embrace the chaos," Sarah said, the warmth of solidarity enveloping them both. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the living room, and they both froze in place, exchanging worried glances. "What now?" her mother whispered, eyes wide. With their hearts racing, they hurried back to the table, where the rest of the family had gathered, whispers rising like the volume on a radio. "Did you see that? It's not just the plates." Uncle Mark's voice trembled, hinting at an undercurrent of something deeper. "What happened?" Sarah demanded, stepping forward into the hesitant crowd. The air felt charged, as if they were on the verge of uncovering another piece of their family puzzle. "I just got a message it's out about the estate," Mark said, his face paling. "There's more to the story. Much more than we thought." Sarah's pulse quickened, hope and dread warring within her. Could this news drag them back into a storm of feelings they were just beginning to confront? What lay behind this new revelation, waiting to entwine with their already tangled history? As they gathered closer, Sarah knew this was just the beginning of their unraveling. The truth loomed ahead, vast and unknown, full of dangers and perhaps even a path toward healing. But stepping into it would take courage they had yet to summon. "Tell us everything," she urged, her heart pounding. "We can handle it." But the questions loomed like shadows, silent but powerful. What was coming next, and would it change everything they thought they knew about their family? The future felt precarious, yet strangely full of possibilities. Uncle Mark's silence was deafening. The air thickened with uncertainty, each face in the room wearing expressions that mixed confusion with anticipation. Some leaned in closer, desperate to hear, while others appeared to retreat into themselves, bracing for whatever was to come. "I received a video," Mark finally said, his voice low and steady, but the tremor was palpable in his hands. "From a lawyer. It seems there are assets no one knew about. Hidden investments. Family properties, things left by your grandfather." "What do you mean hidden?" Sarah pressed, her heart racing. She felt the weight of her family's history suddenly shift, becoming lighter and far heavier all at once. "He was involved in things we never talked about," Mark replied, glancing at the family portrait hanging on the wall, where smiles masked deeper secrets. "And it seems he wanted to keep a lot hidden from us, from all of you." Sarah's mind spun as she processed this revelation. Why would he do that? What else is there? Her mother stepped closer, emboldened by the gravity of Mark's words. Was he in trouble? Why the secrecy? He was a complicated man, Mark said. No one ever really knew him. He had business partners, investments that went bad, and then they sold the family estate in the mountains. It's been in the family for generations, and he hesitated, struggling to find the right words. He might have left it to someone else. Or it could be part of the inheritance, her mother whispered, a flicker of hope in her eyes battling against uncertainty. We could have something, finally. Something to build on or something to fight about, Sarah interjected, her mind racing with visions of heated arguments and the unrest that often accompanied money. Look, the only thing we've got is each other. We've come this far in figuring out our mess. What if this just tears us apart again? Mark rubbed the back of his neck. I get that. But we owe it to ourselves to find out. To understand what he left behind and why it matters now. The room fell silent as the weight of his words settled over them. Each person present was left to wrestle with the implications of uncovering a legacy that could mean more than just financial windfall. Shouldn't we think about what kind of family we want to be rather than what we could inherit? Sarah suggested, her voice cutting through the tension. Let us have this conversation as a family, and not about money or properties. Let us talk about us and how we make each other better. A small murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Faces softened slightly, as if a shared decision had settled over them, but the tension still clung tightly to their bones. Mark took a deep breath, moving to steady himself before speaking again. Okay. But we have to understand these truths before we can truly heal. The lawyer wants us to meet tomorrow to discuss it all. The history, the estate, everything. As Sarah looked around the room at her family, hope and anxiety mixed in her chest. They had begun to peel back layers of their past, only to reveal the potential for a new beginning, albeit one tangled in ambiguity. The moment felt bittersweet, like the taste of her mom's chaotic cookies, imperfect yet still made with love. All right, she said with renewed determination. Tomorrow, we'll confront this together. But let's promise to protect what we already have, the bonds we've rebuilt. A chorus of nods echoed around the table, some offered tentative smiles, while others still bore the weight of uncertainty. But as they moved to gather their things, a sudden realization hit Sarah like a gust of wind. What if this discovery uncovered far more than they were prepared for? What if the truth about their grandfather was darker than any of them could imagine? Wait, she paused, anxiety tightening around her throat. What if there are secrets we aren't ready to face? What if knowing the truth tears us apart? In that moment, the air shifted again, filled with unshared fears and unanswered questions. As they prepared to step into the unknown, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would bring more than just revelations about wealth. It could unravel more than their past, it might strip bare the very foundation of who they believed they were. What other truths lay hidden in the shadows of their family history, waiting patiently to be unearthed? The next morning dawned gray and heavy, clouds veiling the sun in a cocoon of uncertainty. Sarah awoke with a flutter of fear and determination in her chest, the shadows of their conversation from the night before swirling in her mind. Today held the promise of revelation. It could ignite hope or bury them deeper into the chaos of their past. As she made her way downstairs, the familiar sounds of her family drifting through the house brought a moment of comfort. The smell of coffee filled the air, mingling with the aroma of bacon sizzling on the stove. She stepped into the kitchen to find her mother pouring herself a steaming cup, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Morning," her mother said, attempting cheerfulness. Sarah watched as her mother's hands trembled slightly, betraying her own unease. "Morning," Sarah replied, pouring herself a cup too, though the liquid felt different today. It was bitter, almost foreign. She needed clarity, but clarity felt like a double-edged sword. Have you thought more about what could happen today? Her mother sighed, resting her elbows on the counter, cradling her mug as if it were a lifeline. I've thought about it too much, I think. All of this, what it means for us, it's terrifying. Yeah. Sarah nodded, the weight of the pending meeting pressing down like a thick blanket. I'm scared we might find things we aren't ready to handle. They exchanged a look, a moment of understanding passing between them. There was comfort in shared fear, a bond deepened by the uncertainty of the day ahead. Soon, the rest of the family gathered, each of them moving through the morning with a silence that echoed deep inside them. However, the chatter picked up once Mark arrived, enthusiasm barely masking his own apprehensions. Okay, family. Let us get moving, we have a big day ahead, he declared, trying to inject energy into the room. It felt almost forced, as if he too was fighting against the current of anxiety swirling in each corner. They piled into the cars, the journey to the lawyer's office filled with nervous glances and a silence that seemed to throb in rhythm with each passing mile. Sarah's heart raced as they finally parked outside the building. The brick facade loomed in front of them, sturdy yet imposing, much like the secrets they were about to uncover. With every step toward the office, Sarah felt a mix of dread and exhilaration coursing through her veins. She took a deep breath, glancing at her mother, who gave her a tight smile. Inside, they were greeted by the lawyer, his face friendly but his eyes sharp, as if he could sense the weight they carried. Welcome, everyone. I know today is a significant day for you all, he began, leading them into a well-lit meeting room. As they settled in, the atmosphere shifted. The lawyer placed a folder on the table, its contents a mystery trapped within. Your grandfather left more behind than you could have imagined. I'm here to help you navigate what that means for your family. Mark's jaw tightened as he opened the folder. What are we talking about? He pushed, urgency creeping into his question. The lawyer adjusted the papers, looking up at them as if gauging their reactions. We'll start with the estate. It's not just a house but a compound, and there are implications that can affect your family dynamic. A murmur of apprehension swept through the room. Sarah's stomach churned. Would this lead to a custody battle over memories, over a place once filled with laughter but possibly now laden with betrayal? Beyond the estate, the lawyer continued, there are also investments that connect your grandfather to people you might not expect. Some may even still be active. All eyes turned to one another, confusion mingling with intrigue. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on a precipice about to plunge into unknown depths. What if her grandfather's secrets weren't merely about wealth but something darker, entwined with people who might bring danger to their doorstep? Is there anything we should be warning about? Her mother asked, her voice trembling. The lawyer paused, assessing. I'll be honest. The legacy you inherit may come with consequences. Are you prepared for what we might uncover? As Sarah looked at her mother, brother, and Mark, uncertainty settled in like a fog. They had come together, bound by blood and hurt, but would these discoveries finally tear them apart? We're going to have to stick together, no matter what, Sarah whispered, steeling herself for the ride ahead. And then, as the lawyer began to open the folder, revealing the first glimpse of their grandfather's intricate web of secrets, Sarah's heart raced. What truths would emerge from the darkness, and could their family handle the storm that was about to unfold? The lawyer opened the folder slowly, as if he were unveiling a precious artifact. With each flap he turned, an eerie silence stretched across the room, wrapping around them like a fog. Sarah leaned forward, her heart pounding. The moment felt electric, like the stillness before a thunderstorm. First, the lawyer said, let's discuss the estate. He pulled out a series of photographs depicting sprawling gardens, a large house with brickwork that could tell stories of its own, and various buildings scattered across the property. This is your grandfather's compound in the Catskills. It was not just a vacation home, it was an investment in his vision, a vision you are part of now. Mark studied the pictures, his expression tight, as if he were grasping at something just out of reach. Sarah could see him wrestling with the past, memories of summers spent running through those gardens. Her mind echoed with laughter and joy. But now, the nostalgic warmth felt tainted. What kind of investment? Mark asked sharply. Is there more here that we need to know? The lawyer hesitated, measuring his words. Your grandfather had connections, some legitimate, others, not so much. He was involved in undertakings that could complicate the ownership of the estate. Her mother gasped, the hand she had resting on the table tightening into a fist. What exactly are we looking at? What does that mean for us? The lawyer flipped through more pages, revealing documents that seemed increasingly dense and intricate. There are financial ventures linked to the estate that extend beyond its warm memories. Some of your grandfather's partners are rumored to operate within shady circles. Sarah felt the room shrink around her. The memories that once brought her comfort were now shrouded in uncertainty. But why didn't he tell us? Why leave us with all this? He had his reasons, the lawyer replied softly, compassion in his gaze. Fear is a powerful motivator. Perhaps he believed you were better off without the burden. He cleared his throat, all seriousness now. We need to approach this carefully. There are legalities to navigate first. The mention of legalities appeared to anchor their fears, transforming them from intangible worries into something tangible and pressing. What happens next? Sarah's voice wavered, her hands clenching around her knees beneath the table. To proceed, we'll need to determine who will take responsibility for the estate and its affairs, the lawyer explained, aligning his papers in a neat stack. A decision must be made collectively. Collectively. The word hung above them, heavy with implications. It wasn't just about the house or the memories, it was about managing the legacy and the secrets it held. Conflicted emotions flared, could they unite against a shared uncertainty, or were they bound to unravel? Mark shook his head, frustration bubbling over. We can't just blindly accept this. If he had something to hide, we deserve to know. I agree, Sarah interjected. But we might have to face things about him, about all of us that we never considered. Her mother's eyes brimmed with tears, but determination gleamed sharply within them. I don't want to lose you all over this. Whatever is revealed, we face it together. As they locked eyes in quiet resolve, a shared understanding silently flowed among them. They could lean on one another, even as the weight of hidden truths bore down. Just then, the lawyer leaned in closer, his voice dropping. And let us not forget there are people who might not want this legacy to come to light. Fear rippled through them, mixing with the tension in the air. What could this mean? Had their grandfather kept them cloistered from threats lurking in the shadows of his life? With the meetings ahead and with darkness looming, Sarah felt an urgency rising within. They were steeped in history, yet the adventure of their family's future hung precariously in balance. As they left the lawyer's office, stepping out into the cool, grey day, one thing pressed upon Sarah's mind: they had to dig deeper, ask tougher questions, and brace themselves for revelations that could change everything. But as they drove away, a sense of foreboding lingered. What kind of danger had her grandfather invited into their lives? And were they prepared to confront the past, even at the risk of everything they'd ever known? The sun struggled to break through the grey clouds as Sarah and her family stepped out of the lawyer's office, reality crashing down around them like a wave. The weight of hidden truths loomed large, and a sense of urgency suffused the air. She glanced at each of her family members' faces lined with worry and anticipation as they shuffled toward their cars, the gravity of the day's revelations pressing on their shoulders. All right, what is next? Mark finally broke the silence, a mix of anxiety and determination evident in his voice. We need to come together and figure out how to handle this. More than ever, we must be united in this, Sarah urged, clenching her hands together. We can't let the past consume us. We have to handle it like a family. Family, her mother echoed, her voice trailing off as tears glistened in her eyes. Whatever happens, we need to face it together. No more secrets. As they drove back home, the tension inside the car felt thick, like the storm clouds overhead heavy with uncertainty. But there was a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could turn this impending storm into something that knit their family closer together. Later that evening, gathered in the warmth of the living room, a loose confab and a deceptive sense of comfort surrounded them. The flickering glow of the fireplace cast gentle shadows on their faces. Yet, even as laughter and teasing broke out, there was an undercurrent of apprehension in the air, simmering beneath their attempts to distract themselves. "All right, let us not waste any time," Sarah began, setting her cup down with newfound resolve. "We have to discuss everything we learned today. It's crucial we all understand the ramifications of what was shared." Mark nodded, his expression serious. "We need to sift through this mess, understand every detail." He glanced toward their parents. "That is what Dad would have wanted, right?" Their father leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "This isn't just about the money or the estate. We owe it to ourselves to discover the truth about who we are as a family. It's about legacy, but more importantly, it's about our connection moving forward." As the hours unfolded, the family navigated through their tension that danced between laughter and tears. They shared stories interlacing memories of their grandfather with the realities of what they now faced. Bits and pieces of truths began to poke through their conversations, unearthing long-buried feelings. "I remember him fondly," Sarah shared hesitantly yet firmly. "But now I'm left with more questions than answers about his choices. Why did he hide this from us?" Her father pursed his lips. "He loved your mother and us. Maybe he thought that by keeping those burdens from us, he'd protect our happiness. But now we know that is not how it works." Tears welled in her mother's eyes, shimmering like polished glass. "We must embrace our flaws and learn. It's time to understand who we were, but also who we can be." A wave of understanding washed over the family, each word shaping their identity anew. Every twist of the past carried weight, and though the burden felt heavy, they had shared a moment of clarity that illuminated their path forward. As they delved deeper, uncovering the threads binding them together, moments of laughter mixed with reflections of pain. They shared vulnerability. Sarah spoke of her struggles as a waitress while Mark opened up about his fears of not living up to their grandfather's legacy. Their mother revealed her secreting feelings of inadequacy, while their father spoke about the hardships of being a patriarch forced to wear masks of strength. Suddenly, someone knocked at the door, an urgent rattle that caught them off guard. All eyes darted toward the entrance, a collective breath held. Who could it be? Slowly, their mother stood up and opened the door. A figure stood in the doorway silhouetted against the dim evening light. It was Ava, Sarah's childhood friend, worry etched in her features as she stepped through the threshold. "Sarah, I was worried," Ava said, stepping into the warmth of the house. The atmosphere shifted palpably as everyone turned their attention to her. "It's good to see you," Sarah replied, a calming empathy settling over her. "Right now, we're in the middle of," she hesitated, realizing the weight of what they were discussing. This was more than a simple catch-up. The tension broke like ice as Ava took a deep breath. "I heard about your grandfather's estate. Listen, I'm here to offer support." "You're not alone," she said, her voice steady yet gentle. Her words resonated with everyone. They were discovered, interwoven threads in a tapestry of life, survival, and newfound connections. Sarah felt a sense of deep understanding wash over her, binding her family and friends closer while the road ahead remained uncertain. Together they formed a circle, propelled by a river of emotions, a fountain of resilience flowing between them. They each opened up, one by one. "What if we failed?" someone murmured. "What if we heal?" Sarah countered, her voice rising above the whispers. In that moment, something shifted. They embraced the fear of the unknown because they understood it now together. As twilight fell, painting the sky in hues of purple and orange, the family leaned into one another, taking the first steps toward a future free from the paralyzing grip of secrets. What they still needed to uncover would remain a part of their journey, but they could face it arm in arm, holding tightly to the bonds of love that had formed amidst the fires of their shared truths. Even as darkness descended, there was a light within them. They were no longer just a family tied by blood, they were a family bound by choice, a choice to understand, to forgive, and to rebuild their lives anew. And in Sarah's heart, a fierce spark of hope ignited, urging her forward. Together they would forge a path where honesty illuminated their way, and respect nourished their connections. As they sat together not just as a family but as a united front, the future felt infinitely brighter. They had turned the corner from chaos to connection, transforming their uncertainties into a promise of healing. This was no longer just a truth revealed, it was a new beginning. "Remember this moment," Sarah thought. Together, they could rise toward the horizon, unafraid to challenge what lay ahead, and they would do so as family, forever transformed. This is the time to step into the light. Step by step, they would reclaim their legacy, rewrite their story, and face the world with unyielding strength together. Don't wait. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire hope and resilience. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this journey everyone needs to see. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to be a part of this community. Your real support helps us grow and continue sharing these impactful stories. You need to be a part of it.